first.
Okay,
Okay, yes, and then I'll go ahead and click for you.
perfect. All right, well, while Lily is doing that, hi everybody, as she mentioned, my name is Samantha. I am one of the assistant dean of students here on campus. My biggest role, and probably like the most fun role that I have here is working with our orientation program and getting to welcome all our new students onto campus. So today we're just going to talk through a little bit about what does that look like, both for you as new students and family members a little bit too, because we make sure that we have some programming for you as well. Please feel free at any point to throw a message or a question in the chat, and Lily can kind of pop in and let me know and how I can answer that. Otherwise, hopefully I am able to get through most of it for you. Go ahead and go to the next one. So orientation at Elmhurst is pretty different than what I think most schools do, which has been something we've prided ourselves on for a long time. So this year it is a 3-day program for new first year students, starting on Thursday, August 24th and running through Saturday, the 26th. There's also some stuff on Sunday, the 27th, which I'll talk about in a second, which is why any of your mailing stuff has shown that it's the 24th through the 27th, because there are a couple things, but the more formal stuff happens the 24th through the 26th for first years. So in this picture, you can kind of see a couple of the different activities we do. Our orientation program is really focused around helping new students acclimate to the college, learn about their values, how they connect with the university, understand who they are through some deeper questions. It's not so much the nitty gritty about, what are you going to be learning? What are you going to be doing as a student here? But a lot more about building the community. The real big goal with our orientation program is that when you come to school on Monday, you will have at least a couple people that you know, primarily in your first year seminar course. So all of our orientation groups are divided up by whatever first year seminar course you signed up for when you did your advising and registration day over the summer. You would have seen anybody in this blue polo helping you over the summer. Those are orientation student leaders. And so they will lead your students through this 3-4 day program and help do those different activities. So we do a lot of fun stuff. We have a couple guest speakers that are really engaging. In the one picture, you can see that looks like a ziplining course. It is. We bring everybody over to what's called Go Ape Adventure Forest, and you get to climb completely for free. You get to climb in trees and zip line and do something maybe you haven't done before. We also do service, and we take students to Feed My Starving Children in Schaumburg, so that way you can kind of have a service component and understand that like Elmhurst is really focused on community service and engaging with those in the community. And so we have that incorporated as well. And then you can also just see like there's a lot of fun stuff. We do silent disco. We do fun activities within the classroom with your orientation student leader, and really just make sure that you are able to connect with other peers within your first year seminar group and just in your class, incoming class as a whole. So that's what our orientation program looks like for first year students. For transfer students, it's a little bit shorter. It's just going to be Saturday, August 26th. And so for transfers, they have really different needs a lot of times than first year students, in that transfer students have usually seen a college campus firsthand sometimes. And so we want to make sure that we're treating that and taking that into consideration. So transfer students are going to go through a couple different sessions with our orientation student leaders and some campus speakers. And then they also will do a fun ice-breaking opportunity where they get to meet their other transfer student peers that are starting alongside them. So again, they can also start classes on Monday and have a couple faces or friends that they know. So either way, like it's really, both programs are tailored really closely to what those needs are of that student, whether you're a first year or a transfer student. So that way you can have a good experience over those couple day periods, and then start school the next week with some groundwork and understanding of the campus. Lily, go ahead and go to the next one. Thank you. So I talked a little bit about what to expect. Different things that you will see over those couple of days. Again, everything at orientation is provided to your student, including food. Like, they shouldn't need extra money for anything. We do stuff in our chapel where we have a couple fun presentations. You'll see in the bottom right corner, the man on the stage. That's Kevin Wasner. He is probably like one of the funniest presenters that we bring on campus, talking about a lot of different topics about like understanding one another and the kindness and how we all need to bring a sense of positivity and hope into the world. So we'll do things like that. I talked about the zip lining. We have a lot of fun in a lot of different spaces. We'll do what's called Play Fair, which is a large icebreaker where it's highly, highly recommended every single year, and students love it. This year, it's going to be on the football field rather than on the mall. The new football field, I should add. And so it's a bunch of icebreaker games where you get to just do silly things and meet different people and have a lot of fun. And then the OSLs, as you can see in the bottom left corner, the orientation student leaders are really the heartbeat behind everything, making sure that the students have fun and feel connected to each other and the campus. Now, a lot of these pictures are depicting what it will look like for a traditional first year student's orientation. I will add that, like I had said before, a transfer student is going to see a much abbreviated version of that, where they're going to get a lot of the tools that they need in order to participate in campus. And so, like, we understand that transfer students have some understanding of college life overall, and so we want to make sure that like we're getting you what you need right away and also connecting you to each other. So like I had said before, a couple seminars to get you to understand the groundwork, and then opportunities to meet your other peers that day too. Go ahead and go to the next one, Lily. Thank you. Awesome. So what about our families? So we absolutely want you family members to be involved in orientation. We see families as a partner in this transition process, and we don't want people to think that it's very much like, okay, thank you, goodbye. So we definitely have some programs available for you that day. Family members are going to be with us until about 3:30 on that Thursday for first year students. And so family members can be with us with the lunch. They're going to hang around with their student for that activity, as well as if you have a commuter student, family members can go to the commuter student session. And then we have a panel, especially for families, so that way you can ask questions directly to the different resources on campus to know how is Elmhurst going to support your student once they're here. And then also talk about ways that, like, how can we help you help them? How can you help us help them? Really understanding that the person in mind is your student and making sure that they have what they need to be successful here. And then after that, we invite families to come right outside where that session is being held. And we'll have members of cabinet and student affairs available, so you can talk to the president and his cabinet and ask them some of the same questions, or just get to know the people that are leading the campus your college is at, or your student is at. And then we'll have like a formal toast and celebration to, celebrate that you just dropped your student off at college, whether it's your first or your last, and just kind of have a nice time for you for that, to kind of get your next steps in order for what you're going to do the rest of the day. So families are really only here on that Thursday. Families also can help students move in if they're a resident student, a first year resident student, on that Wednesday, the 23rd. But otherwise, for formal orientation stuff, families will be here from whenever their student checks in on Thursday until about 3:30 on Thursday. And then if they're a transfer parent, we also invite you to come to orientation for the transfer students. That's Saturday, the 26th. Families will be here the whole time from about 12 to 4-ish. And you are also going to be able to do a couple different activities, meet other transfer parents, and just kind of understand again, what is it that your student is going to be doing on campus? How can we support them? And how can you be part of that process? Go ahead, Lily. Thank you. And then I have talked about them a couple times, but here is just a more formal understanding of who they are. So the orientation student leaders are 30 or so sophomores to current seniors who have been involved in maybe their orientation program or are involved in different things on campus overall. But they all go through an interview process, and that helps us then make this very diverse group of students ranging from different types of involvement, backgrounds, age groups, everything you can think of. They're a really exciting group of people who have a lot of energy. And most importantly, they understand what it's like to be the new student on campus, whether they were a first year or a transfer, and they want to make sure that you all feel supported as you're here and understand that transition. So there's some of my favorite people to work with. They have, like I said, a lot of energy, a very positive attitude. They love Elmhurst very much. And so I think you'll really enjoy getting to meet them throughout orientation. Families, you will as well. They'll be around during the family welcome and the welcome lunch. So make sure you say hi. Your go-to is pretty much anybody in a blue polo can tell you what you need to do for orientation. That's kind of how I look at it. And then Lily, go ahead and go to the next one. So this slide is just another review about the schedule for first year students. The next slide will show for transfer students. This is available on the website at elmhurst.edu/orientation. So I won't go into this too much, but just so you can see what's kind of happening and how that breaks down between Wednesday the 23rd all the way through Sunday. Like I had said, there are some programming pieces on Sunday, mainly that honors program orientation. So you only go to that. You would have received information from it, and that is for anyone that's in the honors program. So that's why we include it on here as part of that weekend plans. And then the next slide also shows like the transfer stuff. So again, same thing that we've talked about this whole time, just kind of helping you see what the schedule is going to look like. You can go ahead, Lily. I also want to encourage you that if you are a first year student and you're not sure what times you need to be on campus, if you go to elmhurst.edu/orientation, there are multiple links up there to help you understand everything you need to know about orientation, including specific schedules based off of your FYS class. So if you know that you signed up for section 12, you can actually go on that website and download that document that shows what times am I really going to be on campus if I'm in section 12. We break out the schedules that way. Also just note that for first year students, the evening socials and dinners are optional. We really, really love for you all to be here. I know the orientation student leaders love to have dinner with their groups. But that's where you'll see the timing where it kind of looks more optional in the evening, because the evening programming is optional for students. And then I think that is just about it for the two. I'm happy to answer any questions that came in, or if anybody's thinking of something now though too. Okay. Lily, anything in the chat? Oh, I can't hear you yet. We can't hear you. Can anybody else hear her? I don't think I can hear you, Lily.
No.
You're not muted, but it's like your mic
doesn't. How about now?
There you go.
Okay. It looks like we don't have any questions at the moment. Yes, go ahead, Brian.
I know you're required to like go to one orientation. Do you have to go to all of them?
So are you meaning like one day of orientation or multiple days?
I mean, like, is it only required to only do one day of orientation?
Yeah, so for first year students, we say that you have to be at all of them. It is mandatory for students to be at all 3 days. And that's because each day builds on the other. So the first day is going to be different programming with different folks on campus, as far as like new student convocation, meeting your orientation student leader. And then the next 2 days are really focused on the community building and helping you understand the campus and yourself. So all of orientation over those 3-day period, that 3-day period is the mandatory part. What's the more optional part is the end of the day on Thursday and Friday, where meals and socials are optional. Great question.
So like, I'll type in the chat instead.
Okay.
All right. Samantha, we have another question. Where should we park for orientation?
Great. So you can park in any of our parking lots. So there's the Scheibel Science lot. That's a little bit smaller. If you're a resident student, I would advise just to park near the hall that they're going to be in. Otherwise, we also have the West lot and Alexander lot. So when you come to campus, there's a lot of parking, and you should see it pretty quickly when you get here to be able to see like where the parking lots are. You can park anywhere that there's a spot. Usually I haven't heard that it gets too crowded for orientation. There should be plenty of room for everybody. It's not like graduation. We usually run out of parking space. Orientation, we usually don't have that same issue. So anywhere on campus, you're more than welcome to park.
Thank you. And then someone had asked regarding where can they receive their JPass?
Yeah. So if you were not able to get your JPass over the summer during an advising registration day, I'm sorry. Sometimes the system runs a little bit slow. But so you can pick that up at the Office of Public Safety. And so the best way to know where to go for there, that's Lehman Hall. And like if you were on the football field and you turned around and looked south, you would see a building with a blue light right on the outside. And that's public safety. So you can go in there, let them know that you're a new student, and have your JPass printed right there. They're open 24/7, so you can stop by anytime and get that from them.
There was another question. So unfortunately, one of our students who's joining us this fall, they got knee surgery recently. So one of their questions was, how will that affect their experience during orientation?
Yeah, great question. So I would say that Go Ape might be really difficult. So I don't know if I would advise doing something like that. But I would, the best way I would navigate everything is tell you to come on Thursday and talk with your orientation student leader about what activities would make the most sense for you. Especially like we would love for you to still come and like support your students and have conversation. I don't think you'll find it that it's too taxing besides Go Ape, and that might just be something that you wouldn't participate in because of the surgery. But you should be able to do 99% of everything else. And like I said, just talk to your orientation student leader to let them know the situation. And so then that way you two can come up with a plan about what is it and where you need to be for that.
Thank you. We have a few questions. Some individuals are just curious when the parking sticker will be going out to students.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you have an idea.
I know they switched a couple years ago, and so that gets emailed out to you. I would assume that should be hitting in the next maybe week or two. I also can tell you that I know the whole first week, possibly even the second week, they don't give parking tickets or anything on campus to kind of let students understand it and figure it out. So by no means do you need to have it like the first week of school or the first day. Public safety is really great about just helping students understand what parking looks like here. So definitely watch your student email for that to buy it, and just know that like there's a lot of grace, and you can chat with public safety to kind of know what you need to do for that.
Some students are just curious, what should they bring for orientation?
I would say an open mind and really want to have a lot of fun. I'll tell you the same thing that I tell all my other students is you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So if you're going to go into it, you know, really excited to have a good time, meet some new people. I just saw a question come in if I recommend extra clothing, probably only for the Go Ape Day, but even still, that shouldn't be too bad. I know my OSLs usually bring an extra set of clothes for the Go Ape Day, but otherwise you shouldn't need anything. We try to make sure that we take care of everything from snacks and writing utensils, maybe bring some water with you or anything else you need if you were going to be gone for the day. But you shouldn't need really anything to do orientation in its entirety.
Thank you. And then it looks like there was another question for commuting students. Do they need to attend Wednesday?
Great. Yeah. So commuter students don't need to worry about Wednesday at all. Wednesday is strictly for resident students so that they can move in, get their stuff moved in. And then they do like a floor meeting with everybody and stuff. So if you're a commuter student, yours definitely starts on Thursday. Resident student, you have some stuff on Wednesday to get you moved into your hall, and then everything starts Thursday.
Awesome. And then are there any vegetarian options for dinner or for lunch?
Yeah, we try to make sure that we always have vegetarian and vegan availability. And if at some point you don't see something that you can eat for dietary restrictions, besides what we've put out, you can always go through the cafeteria and they know that they can also help you make food. So you'll always have something to eat and be able to do that too.
And then we have a few more questions. A student was just curious, on Wednesday when they only have 2 hours to move in, is it just the 2 hours that they have to move in for resident students?
Yeah, so
Okay.
you move in anytime during that time, but technically you have until the next session. So I believe it's dinner at 5, if I remember correct.
Yeah.
And that's optional. So really your first mandatory thing as a resident student on that Wednesday is 6 o'clock for the floor meetings. So yes, we only have the 2 hour window. That's really to make sure that everybody comes during those 2 hour windows. You can technically move in and spend time moving in until 6 o'clock if you wanted to. But we ask everybody to at least come and start moving in from 9 to 11.
Awesome. And then there was another question that says, if it says it's optional, then can we leave early? So are students able to leave early from orientation?
Yeah, if it says it's optional, it truly is optional. So if you're looking at the schedule and you see that, you know, you don't want to attend the dinner on Friday night, or you don't want to go to that nightly social, then that is optional for you to be able to go to. Like I said, we hope you stay. I know we're going to be doing some fun stuff both on and off campus, both of those nights, just to kind of have some fun, especially if you're a resident student and you're around. I totally understand that commuter students have to drive home, so that's not always as easy. But if it says optional, it's definitely optional.
We have a few questions left. So for students who haven't received their schedule just yet, who should they contact regarding that?
If you're meaning your class schedule, then I would check and see if you have an advising and registration date. I guess I'd have to know what schedule you're meeting specifically.
Yeah, I'm guessing like their class schedule.
Yeah, so then you would want to, you'll get that when you register for classes. So I would contact the probably the Office of Advising to check in about like when you're going to take or when you're going to attend an advising and registration day to get your classes, because you would need to attend one of those days, whether it's virtual or in person, to pick out your classes and get your schedule.
And then someone had another question. Do they need a parking permit to park anywhere during orientation days?
No, you don't need anything. Just come on in.
Perfect. And then someone just had a question regarding, what is the J-Pass used for?
Yeah. So J-Pass, if you're a resident student, is the way that you get all your food, or your Starbucks, whichever you prefer. We also use the J-Pass just as a basic identification of who's a student, who's staff, that kind of thing. And then in the local community in downtown Elmhurst, you can also use your J-Pass at some restaurants to get 10% off or a free benefit somewhere. I also know, I believe you can also sign up to be a member of the Elmhurst Community Library too with that. So if you need access to a little bit more information or different things, you can also use that library card. They should be able to do something with that over there, where you can also be a member of the Elmhurst community too.
And then it says, for all 3 days, are they mandatory for new students only, or does that apply to transfer students as well?
Yeah, so first year students, because you have a first year seminar course tied to this, that's why it's mandatory for first year students. Transfer students, the program is more optional. We put it on a Saturday, hoping that that really works with more of your schedule so we can see you all there. But that is the difference as to why our first year orientation is mandatory, whereas transfer is not. So we hope that either way that you still want to attend and come, but we definitely understand, again, just the different people in different places kind of thing.
Awesome. And then just still relating to transfer orientation, does that start at noon?
Yeah, transfer orientation is going to start formally at noon. Same move-in time like the other, like for first years, it's going to be 9 to 11. And then transfers kick off at noon and go till about 4 o'clock with some optional programming in the evening.
And then is there another orientation for international students that you know apart from this orientation for new students?
There is. I don't know anything about that one, so I only really run this part of orientation. Okay. I don't know if you would talk to Mallory or Tony. Do you know?
Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah, probably Tony. If not, you can always reach out to Kara Johnson. She's our director of international admissions. So, I'm sure them three, you know, they communicate and lead that. So, to the student who asked regarding that international orientation, definitely, I would encourage you to reach out to them regarding that question. Thank you. All right, let's see. Yeah, students were just wondering, do they have to come on Sunday?
Yeah, so Sunday is really there. There's a couple religious services that your OSLs will talk to you about if you would like to and you live on campus, or if you want to come here for it. Otherwise, really Sunday is for the honors program orientation. So if you're part of that program, you'd get information for it. That's what you would attend Sunday for.
All right. Okay, so we're getting a few more questions. So could you just explain, I know you talked about it a little bit, regarding JPass and like the difference that a resident student can use it for and a commuter student uses it for?
Yeah, I think resident students are going to see much more use out of it. So resident students, like I said, you're going to use that to eat. Everybody uses that to print on campus too. I forgot to mention that before. So commuter students, you're probably not going to use it too often. You do have the option to add money onto your JPass and use that just like everybody else does. Especially, you know, if you have classes multiple times a week and it's just easier for you to put money on your JPass so you can eat on campus, you can do that. But you can also use your credit and debit card downstairs too. Otherwise, the biggest difference I think is really just first year students are going to resident students are going to use it more often for meals, where commuter students and resident students are going to use it more for printing and just other identification-y stuff.
Awesome. I know some students had questions regarding lunch and dinner. Will that be free, or is it something a student needs to pay for?
All meals from on campus are during orientation are covered. So that's lunch on Wednesday all the way through dinner on Saturday are covered.
Awesome. Cool. And then for the honors orientation, does the student have to be there for both for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
I don't think so. I think they can come just for that. For that, reach out to Mary Kay Mulvaney. She's the director of the honors program, and she could tell you more what she would, but I believe she only runs it just for that 2-hour period. So you do not need to be on campus for breakfast and lunch and everything. No.
Awesome. All right. And then lastly, I know I had answered a question. Someone was just curious, resident students, they move in on Wednesday, so they do stay the night, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so Mary Kay, Dawn, if you like, feel free to just send me directly a message and I can just write down your email quickly. And I can just give it to you. In terms of adding money into your JPass, I can always go ahead and email that to you as well. But I don't know, Samantha, if you want to just briefly talk about where a student can add money into their JPass.
Yeah, I believe we're a little past what I know. But I believe you can do it in Student Financial Services over in Global, or you might be able to do it through the portal through TouchNet. Yeah. So either one or both of those options. At the end of the day, I know you can talk to Student Financial Services and they can help you.
Oh, perfect. All right. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? I know I was trying to read as many questions as I can, but feel free to, raise your hand. Brian, yes, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay. So like, is it okay if I only attend one? Is it optional if I just do like, I mean, of course it's required, like, because like Thursday and Fridays are pretty busy and Sunday I have an addition. Could I just go on Saturday?
So are you a first year student, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say all of it's mandatory, like we've talked about. But if there's other things that prevent you from doing that, I would say you just need to talk to your orientation student leader. So, I mean, I can't not tell you to go to the different things that you have. But that's where we say, like, it's mandatory. We expect students to be there. So I would try to work your schedule to make sure that you're there. While we also understand that there's just certain things that can't move.
Okay, Sunday I'm not available because I have an addition.
Gotcha.
So like the required days are like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or no, I think
Thursday,
you said
Friday, Saturday.
just Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we received more questions. Do commuters need a parking pass? Where do you get it? Go ahead.
Commuters would need a parking pass as well. You'll get the email just like everybody else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then some students, if you have a virtual advising date, I'm not sure if you can just talk about advising a little bit. Like how does that translate from an in-person to a virtual appointment? Like what's the difference between those two?
Yeah, so a virtual date, you're just going to meet with your advisor and if you're a first year student and your peer advisor. So it's going to be much more focused on just doing picking out your classes. Where an in-person date, you would have gone through a bunch of different stuff on campus and done a couple activities. You're not behind by any means or at a deficit in any way if you're doing the online or the virtual one. We also understand, like, for out-of-state folks, like that's usually the best one to be able to do. So that's just the really big difference is both are going to pick out your classes. It's just if you're in person, we have a couple activities on campus. We're virtual, you're just picking out the classes.
And then I don't know if you have a rough estimate of how many incoming first years we have and who are attending orientation. I'm not sure if you have the number yet.
Yeah, I know that we're expecting the upper 500s, the lower 600s of first year students that we're excited to see, and then transfer students around 300 as well. So our transfer class is pretty big. And so, yeah, over the course of these 3 days, we're kind of looking to see about 1,000 new students alone, adding in all the family members that usually come with as well. So it's a pretty big event for us for the first, right before school starts. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think those are all the questions. If you have any other questions for anyone who attended, I can go ahead and just share my screen quickly once again with Samantha's information. You're more than welcome to email her, contact her. And then this is just a quick screenshot of the website that she mentioned regarding orientation. And of course, just stay in communication with your counselor. If you have any questions, I'm sure they will help you navigate the appropriate webpage and schedule to access. But yeah, I think that's all that I have. On my end, as I mentioned, this will be recorded and sent out to everyone. For those, I know I received some messages directly. If you have work, you're more than welcome to just head out. Again, you'll receive this. But if you have any last minute questions, feel free. Yes, Brian, go ahead.
Oh. Do you have to RSVP for the orientation? Because I'm trying to find an RSVP unless there's not one.
You do not need to RSVP as a first year student, no.
All right. Is it required like after freshman year?
Orientation?
Yeah.
No, it's just the first year or the first year on campus. Yep.
Yeah, good question.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
Lily, I can hang around on here for a couple minutes too after you end.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and hang out too. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining us. Again, I will stop the recording and you'll receive a link, an email soon regarding this webinar. So thank you so much. Again, thank you, Samantha, for talking about orientation, and we're all excited to have you on campus soon. All right, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.